Aficionados, don't be afraid. What you are about to hear is real. Welcome to the Stogie 411 show with your hosts, Mike and Mike. Take it away, boys.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to Stogie 411. We are back here live. Again, seems like eternity, but I'm Mike, along with my co-host, Mike. How's it going, buddy?
Hey, it's going good. How about you?
It's going good. It's going good. Well, we're sorry we had a little technical difficulty, but we got it all worked out. And as you can probably see, our guest today is Jon Huber of the Crown Heads. How's it going, Jon?
I am doing well. Thank you for asking, guys. A little bit slow in getting here, but I appreciate the patience.
No problem at all. Things happen, man. Things happen. We are happy and honored to have you on the show.
It's my pleasure to be here. Now, just so I know, where are you guys, each one of you? This is really kind of odd.
I'm in New York.
What part of New York?
Upstate, near the Adirondacks.
Anywhere near Kingston?
About an hour and a half from Kingston.
Okay.
About an hour and 45.
And Mike, too? Yeah, that's the other thing. I'm Mike and Mike, so. Yeah. And Mike, the other Mike.
Mike 1, Mike 2 is fine.
Mike 1, Mike 2. All right. Where are you at?
I'm in Pennsylvania, down towards the
Maryland. What part of Pennsylvania?
Down towards close to York.
Okay. York Barbell Company.
Yeah. Yeah, that's about half hour away from me. And Harley Davidson plant's about 20 minutes away.
Nice. Okay, now I feel better, know where we're all at. Very good.
No problem. So, all right, well, Jon, why don't we do this? We'll kick it off. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself for people who may not know? I'd be shocked if there's anybody, but somebody may not know. Tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got started in the industry.
Sure. Well, my name is Jon Huber, and I am a part of a team of people that comprise Crown Heads, which is a company dedicated to premium cigars. And not the brand, just to clear up the air and misconceptions there, what have you. I got started in the cigar business. My first day was with CAO, April 15th, 1996. And from that point, I stayed with CAO up until my last day at CAO, I think was December the 17th of, last year. So, and left CAO, and now we've started Crown Heads. And Crown Heads is comprised of myself, Mike Conder, who was our Senior VP of Marketing at CAO, Michael Trebbing, who was our new media manager at CAO, and Nancy Heathman, who was our graphic designer at CAO. That's kind of the short Reader's Digest condensed version of my story. But, I started off with CAO basically as a shipping manager, and I knew nothing about shipping. And lied and cheated and stole my way up the ladder and became involved in marketing. So, and that's where I started 15 years ago.
Yeah, you're definitely a big reason, in my opinion, of
I'm a big
their success.
I don't know what. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's really kind. It's like, I look back on my years with CAO very fondly, and that was more than just a company or a brand to me. It was like my second family. Jono, Tim, Eileen, everybody that we worked with, and it was a very special feeling. In retrospect, we didn't realize exactly how special it was until it was over and that chapter closed. And as I tell other people, though, I say it was the end of the chapter, but not the book. So many more pages to write.
Good to hear.
Exactly.
What made you decide to go, from CAO and then just decide to create your own company like this? Was there any process involved, or was just a switch in your head said, this is a great fit?
To be honest with you, I knew that CAO was going to be leaving Nashville probably as early as January of 2010. No announcement was made to us behind the scenes, but it just didn't take much to figure out the writing was on the wall. General Cigars was coming in, and you could see that it was going to end up in Richmond long before they told us it would. So at that point, I just kind of had faith that the big picture would reveal itself to me, but what I didn't want to do was a lateral move. I didn't want to take my talents and go work and do the exact same thing somewhere else. I mean, I've been in it too long, and I'm too old to move laterally. I wanted to move vertically. So I was approached and by a few people, and but long story short, the answer was in my heart, is to stay with the people that brought you to the dance, so to speak, And Mike had approached me and said, "Would you be interested in doing something?" And I said, "Absolutely." So, and to be part owner of a brand as opposed to working for a brand is very attractive. And to me, that fit in with what I wanted to do in the industry. I wanted to take the next step. So that's really wasn't much thought process to it, but that's how it came about.
Great. So some people may not know, John, but you recently just got back from your honeymoon, just got married. So how's married life treating you already?
Man, no, huh? I'm kidding. I said everybody knows that. No, yes, I did.
How's it treating you?
How's what treating me?
Married life.
You know what? It's brilliant, man. It's beautiful. I love my life. I love my wife, formerly my fiance, formerly my girlfriend, what have you. But it's been more than I could have ever imagined and dreamed of. I've been very blessed. I've been on a honeymoon for 381 days, man, since I met my girl. So, nothing's changed. It's just legal and official.
There you
go. It feels really, really good. It feels right.
Yeah, is awesome. She going to be joining you with the company, doing anything for the company, or does she just do her own thing?
No, Laura's got no interest in cigars at all. She's very touched by everybody's support and the cigar community, especially like on Twitter and everything. They always kind of involve her and include her with the congratulations messages, what have you. And she's very moved by that, very touched. But she has no interest in being in the business. And the extent of it is she may join me on a few events in the future or a few of my travels, what have you. But no, she does her own thing.
Okay, cool.
All right.
The one thing I noticed, John, and I've watched some of your interviews over the years, and the one thing I'll say is you seem very humble by your success. How do you keep your head so level?
Well, because I haven't really succeeded yet. So it's pretty easy to be humble when you really haven't done much of anything. I mean, I tell people to know, in fact, that I just had a conversation with a colleague at Cigar Aficionado magazine yesterday. We called and chatted, and he's like, "Man, you guys got a lot of buzz going on out there and everything." And I said, "Yeah." I said, "We're like, the Kim Kardashian of the cigar industry. We're famous for doing nothing. I mean, we don't have a product. We don't have a cigar. We don't even have a manufacturer. So, I mean, it's quite easy to be humble." And I also think that no matter, what level of success we ever achieve or have achieved or what have you, I think it's always really important to retain a sense of humility, because if you're not humble, then I believe that the man upstairs is going to make you humble. So you might as well retain it yourself.
Right.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's good. Now, on that idea there about with the cigar and everything, is there any news you can share? I mean, do you have any blends or anything?
I have to ask you guys a question real quick, though, because this is new to me. I'm on the other screen with I'm getting a bunch of questions. Am I supposed to be typing and actually talking at the same time?
No.
No, we can ask you those later. We're having people
idiot,
contribute to the questions.
No, basically the questions, they're popping them up for us to ask you.
Oh,
so basically, we'll tell you who the person is, and you can answer the question.
I know Matt Morona, actually. I've met him before.
Yep. Matt's one of our partners here on Stogie 401. He handles the chat room for us and does all the background stuff. Well, I know we both were excited to talk to you. I mean, I haven't had the honor to meet you yet, but I've been a fan of.
It's no honor. Don't kid yourself.
It is, man. You're overly humble. Trust me.
Please.
I can't wait for your stuff to come out. I know everybody else.
Me too.
Wait. And everybody's pumped, and it'll be great.
All right, sorry about that, everybody watching live, but we are back now. And
there we go.
Hopefully we won't have any more glitches.
All right. Well, John, we're going to have to go back over that question. I'm sorry again. But so everybody, basically what Mike was trying to ask before we had the Ustream issue, he wanted to know if you decided on a blend or a cigar or anybody yet. So basically,
reiterate
what you said.
Yeah, sure, no problem. Basically, at the end of the end of December of 2010, we really kind of came up with a plan by month, by quarter. And as of now, per that plan, we would have hoped to have secured a manufacturer, started test marketing blends, getting test groups, sending them out, involving the Crowned Heads community and part of the decision-making process. But the reality is that, we have gotten samples from several manufacturers. We are talking to several manufacturers, but we have not made a decision on the manufacturer or even on, of course, that's going to come first and then the blend. So we're a little bit behind schedules where we thought we would be. But, and as I said earlier, this is going to sound like a worn-out record by the end of today. But our whole mentality is to take our time with this, especially the first brand release, because when that goes out, to me, first impressions are everything. So that being said, I'd rather take an extra couple of 2-3 months and make sure that everything's right and buttoned up before, as opposed to rushing something out that is below our standards, because we want to do this for the long run. This isn't a short-term project for us for 2 to 5 years. This is something that we want to be doing for a long time. So to answer your question, we don't have a blend, don't have a manufacturer yet.
All right. One person, Cigar Lifter, had a question for you, John. Since you're newly married, he wants to know, does your wife let you smoke in the house?
You know, it isn't a question of Laura letting me smoke in the house. It's just something that I've never done. Since I've been in the business, I've never been. My philosophy is, look, I'm in an environment where I can smoke cigars in my office, and this is what I do for a living. When I go home, I kind of want to leave that in the office, and I don't want to bring it home with me. So I choose not to. It's something I did before I even met Laura, that I don't choose to smoke in the house.
All right.
All right. Now I don't know. I think my video on Ustream is locked up. I'm hoping everybody can still hear me okay. I had a question. John G asked this question. With the cigar, with the process, how many people or / testers are included in the process, like from the beginning the whole way through the cigar? Do you use different people at different points of the cigar, or do you use the same people, like for everybody in the company itself? Do you use just Decide, or do you get outside help for something like that?
Yes.
Next question.
It's not scientific as you would be led to believe. It's a very organic thing where, of course, I smoke the samples and people here in the office smoke the samples, but we don't have a selected group of people that we say, okay, you, and you. Here's Liga A, B, C, D. Here's it could be a visitor that comes in. It can be somebody that smokes 3 cigars a day, 3 cigars a month. It just depends. We'll give cigars to people just to get their impressions, and it's not a very finalized focus group, to be honest with you. And my vision of when we do have samples for people to try for the new brand is, I'm not going to keep the same group of people. I'll switch it up. The first 50 people to tweet something or whatever, and that's how we'll obtain our focus group. So I like to get, viewpoints and input from different sectors, the cigar connoisseurs, the guys that are really into it, and even the casual smokers. So I run the gamut. It's a very organic process.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's. I always thought it might have been like a focus group, like you were saying. So yeah, that's interesting to know.
Here's my thing: if you have a focus group and then you have the same people, then you're going to come up with the same tasting cigars all the time, the same blends. There's going to be no difference because everybody's going to say, "Oh, I want this." It doesn't change.
Great.
So if you don't change your perspective, then your product is going to stay stagnant and still. So I think it's best to get a wide range of opinions.
Thinking outside the box.
Definitely.
Somewhat, I suppose.
Let's take another question from the chat room, John. Walt asks, what are you looking for in a manufacturer? Consistency, creativity, overall cost, etc.?
What are we looking for in a manufacturer? Somebody that enjoys long walks along the beach, champagne by moonlight.
I think you just got that. You got married, right?
Yeah.
I got that. Yes, I did get that. But yeah, no question. No, in a manufacturer, to us, I should say.
Yes.
Because we do have a list of criteria. And one of the biggest things for us is trust. A lot of people would probably say, who's rolling the highest rated cigars, or who's rolling the best stuff, and and who's got the highest ratings. To us, it's trust. It's about relationships. You can get in with a factory that may be rolling really highly rated cigars, but if you don't trust that person to deliver your product 3 years down the road, then what's the point? So trust is something that I think a lot of people on the other side of the business, of the consumers, might not even see that as something. But you sit down, you talk to people, you get a good feel for them. Everything we've done in this business, here and a CAO before this, a lot of it was just all relationships. And, trust is a big factor for us. Anybody can procure great tobacco. You got to trust them to do the right thing with that tobacco.
Sounds like you got it planned, and sounds like you know where you're heading and what you want. That's great.
Yeah, that's good that you have a direction and everything seems to be lining up for you. And if it takes a little extra time, it takes a little extra time. I mean, as long as you do it right from the beginning, I think you're going to make out in the end.
Yes, no, I agree. And that is the goal ultimately.
Right.
Is to take our time, do it right. We don't want to rush anything. The vision for Crowned Heads was really to take the time to let people come along for the ride, so to speak. To me, what I've seen in the business over 15 years is you go to the RTDA or the IPCPR or whatever they're calling it now every year, and then all of a sudden, boom, all these new releases. It says, but what I wanted to do was like, okay, that's interesting for 3.5 days. But what I want to do is show people what it takes to get to that point. We're basically starting from square one again. CAO is done. It's over. It's in Richmond, Virginia. Now here's Crowned Heads, and this is what it takes to get it from here all the way to when you see a box on the shelf. And I thought that would be an interesting way to build a brand and bring people in behind the curtain, so to speak. So, hopefully we're doing an okay job of that. I'm not sure. You guys be the judge of that, but that's where we're at right now.
Cool. Yeah, that's good. Now, Walt asked another question here in the chat. He said, are you going to be purchasing tobacco from one source and having cigars rolled by another? He said he thinks Dion purchases, I can't pronounce it. Was it
Aganorsa?
Yeah. But he has the product made in Honduras. Is it, or?
I'm not close to myself. Is that the end of the question?
Yeah, that's.
Okay. The answer is we will not close ourselves off to any kind of possibilities. The ultimate thing at the end of the day is the product. Whether the product going to taste better and be more consistent if we buy tobacco from source A and have it roll at source B, or is it going to be more flavorful, more consistent if we have A do both things? We don't know that. We don't know the answer to that question yet. So I'm never going to shut the door on any possibilities of anything, and that's the beauty of where we're at right now.
Good. The other question I had here, the name, Crowned Heads. How was that brought about?
Here's the true story. It's funny because I'll give you a little side story before I go into the real story. But one of my better friends in the industry is Pete Johnson. And Pete and I have known each other since '96. And so Pete said, Crowned Heads, it's another way of saying triple capped. And it's like, and I didn't know that. I mean, because to me, I think I have so much respect for Pete. It's like I kind of think that he'll probably forget more knowledge about cigars than I'll ever learn, that kind of thing. And I said, really? I didn't know that it was Crowned, And then another person said the C and the H stood for Condor and Huber, because Mike Condor is my partner in the project. And so they said, oh, CH, Crowned Heads, Condor and Huber. I'm like, wow, that's pretty clever, too. So all these people started reading into all these things that I didn't have any intention of being in the first place, but I thought it was kind of very karmic the way it all kind of lined up. The true story is in early January, I was on semi-retirement, obviously, after, they took CAO to Virginia. And the task at hand was to come up with a name for this new company. Not for a brand, but for the company, the holding company. So I'm not even kidding you guys. I literally had a notebook of pages where I'd write. Some of them were good, some of them were not so good, some of them were really good. And, I ran it past kind of a committee of people. And I also, got to a point where even the good ones, the attorneys didn't like. The attorneys would run by it and say, oh, you can't say this, you can't use that, you can't do this. So it was a very difficult and arduous, long task to find a name. So one day, I've always loved The Wizard of Oz. And I'm fascinated with that movie and all the little backstories and the mythology behind it and what have you. And I was watching it on my iPad at home. And there's one scene in Wizard of Oz when it's still in that sepia tone before she goes into Oz. and she's meeting Professor Marvel, and it has a shot of his caravan, the side of his caravan, which says, Professor Marvel, the crowned heads of Europe, past, present, future. And I froze on it. And Laura was there, and I said, what do you think of the name Crowned Heads? I said, that's kind of cool. I said, no. So I kind of sat on it for a second, and I asked Mike Conrad, what do you think of Crowned Heads? And he's like, and he asked his wife, his daughter, and all his friends and whatever, and it kind of stuck. And it got to a point where it was kind of popular enough amongst our little circle that we took it to the attorney. The attorney said, okay, you can use Crowned Heads. So he set up Crowned Heads LLC. So if anybody's a Wizard of Oz fan out there, freeze frame that thing. And are you?
Yeah, I love my favorite movie.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And I did so much research on Wizard of Oz past that. It's funny, and I learned a lot. So that's the genesis of it. There's no rhyme or reason. It was a name that we thought would be, just innocuous enough to raise interest. It was Crowned Heads, and it was available. The second choice, actually, here's a little trivia for it, was Tin Man.
Really?
Oh,
yeah.
Neat.
Yeah, Tin Man was the second choice.
Could always be the first cigar.
Yeah, and so, anyway, but we went with Crowned Heads.
Nice. Let's take a question from John G. He asked, if I can find it again, how often, with your history with CAO as well, how often are modifications made on a cigar from its initial beginnings to its release?
From its initial beginnings.
In your experience with...
In my experience with CAO, and while I was at CAO, we did some 12 or 14 different releases, not including flavors. And it varied. It varied a lot. I will tell you that the last cigar blend that I worked on when I was at CAO was La Traviata. And I remember specifically we went through 21 versions of a blend before the 21st came, and it was La Traviata. Wow. And I was coming home from a road trip. I was doing like the CAO rock and roll things, if anybody remembered that. And I literally came into the office just to like pick up mail and check in or whatever. And it was like 5 o'clock, and there was a cigar on my desk, and they said, "Smoke this." I'm like, "Man, I've been smoking for 3 days, and probably never." Now smoke it. So I lit it up, and I'm like, "Man, this is fantastic. What is this?" They said, "Do you like it?" "Yeah, this is it. What is it?" "Well, we all like this, and we think this should be La Traviata." I'm like, "Undoubtedly, fantastic." And that's kind of the way it is. I always kind of compared searching for blends to dating, if you will. Because you kind of know right away. It's like when I met Laura, it's like instantaneously I'm like, I'm home, this is it, I'm done. And I knew, and that's how it is with blends. When you smoke it and it hits you, it's just like, this is it, and that's the one. And then there's other ones where it's like, oh, this is okay, but it's the same thing with women. It's like, I went out with this girl, but she's okay, but she's got she's cross-eyed or, or whatever. You know what I mean? But you have to wait a long time for that right, perfect package where everything just hits, and it's just like, whoa, and the clouds open and the heavens burst, and that's it. That's my analogy of finding the right blend, and that's what happened with La Traviata. Did that answer your question? I hope.
Yes, you did.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Other blends, other brands, it took a lot shorter of a time. Some took longer, others took shorter. It just depends.
Cool. Walt asked another question. I think it's kind of interesting. Are you thinking about doing anything in Crown?
Walt doesn't have any interesting questions. Come on.
Should we kick him out?
Really? Come on, Mike, too. Anyway, so go ahead. What was Walt's interesting question?
He said, CAO, you had the Escaparate collection. Are you thinking about doing anything similar with Crowned Heads, having any sort of collection like that?
No.
To the point.
No. You asked me if I'm thinking of it. It's like it's not even somewhere in my mind anymore. No, not at all.
Yeah, I guess that would be something maybe a couple years down the road as you're doing blend after blend and you have something.
Perhaps, that's what I don't want to do, just to be clear. It's like we never got into this to create CAO 2.0. Further from it. The further I can get away from CAO, the better. And that's not to say I have sour grapes about anything. CAO is very near and dear to my heart because they're John O. Osgener's initials, and John O. is a man that I hold dear. I owe him so much, and his family in general. But that is done. It's over. It's gone. It's a whole different animal now in Richmond. I can't tell you what's going to happen to the brand from here on out. But I don't want to do anything close to CAO ever. And the intention with Crowned Heads is not to come out with a new release every year or have to come out with a new release every year. I want to develop brands that, you know, slowly grow over the test of time. If we do 500,000 cigars the first year, fine. 50,000, fine. Whatever. But I don't want to have to be under the gun to come up with a new brand or a new thing every year or every 6 months, or the winter blend, summer blend, harvest blend, limited edition, this series, that series. I don't want to do that. So I'll let everybody else kind of take the lead on that.
That's good. I actually like that.
I'm glad you.
Go ahead, John. Coffee break.
Coffee, yes.
You mentioned Pete. You mentioned Dion earlier.
Yes.
Who else are you smoking? Whose other cigars are you enjoying these days? Besides, obviously, Pete and Dion, we know.
Pete and Dion, I'm big fans of both of them. In terms of other cigars that I'm smoking, I've been smoking a lot of Padron product because I think they're like, you know, we're all here and Padron's here. They're like on their own island somewhere. And I've been smoking a lot of Padron. I've been trying to do, you know, different. Hang on, I'm sorry, guys.
That's all right.
I've been trying to do different, you know, comparisons with different things. I've been smoking stuff from Ernie, EPC, smoking his stuff. There's a store here called Uptown Smoke Shop, which is, I think, one of the best retail tobacco stores in the country. And I go in there every 2 weeks, and I'll talk to their manager, Scott, and I'll say, is there anything I should be smoking? And he'll give me all kinds of stuff, and stuff that I've never even heard of that he tries to turn me on to. And, you know, it varies. It's all across the board.
Is that
but
still
it
exciting?
seems to me that the most consistent that I go back to are Pete and Dion stuff. I think those are the most interesting things that are out there right now. But, you know.
Is it still exciting for you to try all the different cigars that are out there?
Absolutely. I tell people that I started off as like a cigar geek, pardon the phrase, and I still am. I mean, when I started smoking cigars, I took like a little notebook, and I would like take the band off, and I'd glue it in the notebook, and I'd write my notes and my ratings and all that. And one of the worst cigars I smoked was the CAO Black. I gave it like a 79 and said it was acrid and sour, and then, you know, like 6 months later, I ended up working for CAO. And then obviously we turned the corner and made better products. But yeah, and to this day, I still get excited about, you know, I came back from my honeymoon, and, you know, I was looking forward to like catching up on the industry news and going on to the different sites and forums and Twitter to see what's going on and what everybody's doing. Yeah, I still get absolutely like stoked about stuff. I really do. I'm still a geek.
How about let me ask you this. There's a big craze. There's a big debate always going back and forth about big ring gauge cigars. I know you tweeted this before, and is the craze still there? And what's your favorite Vitola? What's your favorite?
5 5/8 by 46.
Okay.
Hands down.
Mike and I are big ring gauge guys. I like 56 and up.
And that's fine. I mean, you know, at CAO, we were under the gun to create a lot of that because that's what our consumers wanted. It's not what I like to smoke on a daily basis. It's not what I enjoy. And that's fine. That's okay. But for me, 5 5/8 by 46 is just the classic size. It's the perfect intermediate size that I enjoy smoking. You know, I think Pete's, was it his 7th? Is it his 7th? The number 7. I think that's a 5 5/8 by 46. You know, the old punch size, all that. That's my favorite size, hands down, bar none.
So can we expect the first Crown Head smoke to be that size?
The first brand will definitely. I have the sizes already. I just don't have the manufacturer and the blend. But in my head, I have the names and the sizes of what ultimately I want to do. Whether the blend that we select works with those sizes, we'll see when we get to that point. But my wish list, I have 5 sizes in mind.
Okay.
And 5 5/8 by 46 is one of them. 6 by 60 is not.
How about a 56?
No, the closest I have in there is like a Sublime size, like 654, I think, 6.5, 54, something close to that.
That's good.
That's about as big as I'm going to go.
Okay.
That's about like a Toro. Yeah.
And that'll work.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else in chat room have any questions for John? I don't know. Do you have anything else there, Mike?
Let's see. We covered all that. Favorite size you just covered. Actually, do you have a favorite tobacco?
Right now, I mean, for the last year or so, I've really been a big fan of Habano Ecuador. And that's the wrapper we ultimately used on La Traviata, 2 years ago, and ever since then, I've really been attracted to that tobacco. When it's processed correctly, it has a nice flavor, it has a nice sheen, it has a right color. I don't like tobaccos, well, we're talking about wrappers, but that are too dark. I'm really turned off by really super dark cigars, and I know that there's a conception of, dark, it's strong, it's da-da-da-da-da, and, if you look at like a traditional Maduro, which is a color description, not a wrapper, by the way, it like a Cuban Maduro doesn't look like Oscuro, it doesn't look like an Onyx. To me, any cigar that it has that black thing, it just screams fake, to be honest with you. I think for my money, if we're going off on a tangent here, but if we're talking cigars, for my money, the best Maduro out there is Pete's La Riqueza. And if you look at a box of La Riqueza, it has like a darker brown, but a brown kind of chestnut kind of color to it. It doesn't have a dark black wrapper to it. And it's got incredible flavor, complexity, and it develops. That's what a cigar should do. And for me, I never want to come out with something that's so dark that it doesn't look right to me. So I'm not a fan of dark wrapped cigars. I don't know. Does anybody remember Onyx?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Remember that? Yeah. Remember we got a 94 rating or something?
It got a high rating. I don't know exactly what the number was.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what's Tom?
Go ahead, Mike.
Tom from Tom Cigars asked, what do you think about all the cigar review blogs out there? Basically, they're ran by regular consumers like he is, and do you pay any attention to them, or do you kind of let the bloggers and everything do their own thing?
To answer your question, I love them. I think for me, on the manufacturing side of the game, one of the most enjoyable advents in the business in the last 5 years has been the comeuppance, if you will, of the social media / blogger / what you guys are doing. Yes, absolutely. I think it's a great thing. Makes it enjoyable. It's injected a whole different feel to the industry. Before, like when I started in '96, it was like there was Cigar Aficionado, and that was it. That's how you got your message out. People still wrote press releases and all that kind of thing, and and that was it. That was your one avenue of communication to the consumer. Now we have consumers that are actually communicating directly with us, and I absolutely love it. To me, I learn more from reading Charlie Minato's news, than I will reading, some of the more popular magazines, and it's great. I absolutely love it. I really do. And I do pay attention to them, and I look at them every day. One of the first things I do, I come in the morning and I look at Stogie Review, I look at Stogie Guys, I look at probably about 8 to 10 different sites, and I'll look at Charlie's site for the news when I'm expecting the news. And I'll be honest with you. Here's a funny story. Yesterday, I was speaking to somebody that I will not name, who works for a very high-profile magazine, that was not aware that there was a lawsuit between El Rey de los Habanos and my father. And I learned about it when I came back from our honeymoon by reading Charlie Minato's Cigar Feed coverage on it. So, that to me is case in point where, I think it's fantastic. I love it. And it makes it fun for us.
Yeah, I think Charlie does. He's definitely one of the top guys getting the news out there. I agree with you on that. He seems to always have the take before anybody else. But
I also think, having consumers review cigars, to me, it adds a whole different level of credibility to it, because obviously you guys aren't getting paid to review cigars. You're just like one of us. You're like, this is what I like about this cigar, this is what I don't like about this cigar. And the perception is that some of the magazines, there's some advertising dollars involved, which, by the way, I can honestly attest to you as somebody that's seen the process firsthand. Cigar Aficionado does not do ratings based on ad dollars. I've seen the process. I've been in their office when they have the white bands on there with little numbers. It's legit. That's all I can tell you. But I think the public perception is different. But I can tell you from behind the scenes that it's a very legitimate process of what those boys do up there.
To go with that question now, do you prefer now, like us over at Stogie Review, we don't give any number rating to a cigar?
Numbers.
Would you rather prefer a number with a rating, or do you just like to hear what people have to say about it?
No, I mean, I think everybody should have their own. I think everybody should have their own unique style of how they rate and evaluate the products. Numbers are nice. It kind of gives you, whether it's numbers or stars or what have you, it gives you a sort of a baseline. But it's also nice just to hear somebody's opinion of what a cigar tastes like. One of the things I have problems with, to be honest with you, as somebody that smoked cigars for 17, 18 years, is the flavor descriptions. Whether it is an online guy or cigar aficionado, I mean, I think my palate is pretty well developed after, close to 20 years of being in the business or whatever. But, I mean, I cannot taste some of the stuff that people say that they taste. I've seen, literally, I saw a description of gunmetal one time, and I won't tell you where I read it, but it has notes of gunmetal. And I'm like, what would you know what gunmetal tastes like? Was life that bad that you took a gun and stuck it in your mouth and go, that tastes like gunmetal, and then you went and smoked a cigar? I mean, things like that are a little bit esoteric for me. I mean, it's a little bit out there. So, listen, we all know there's, I think, 5 different tastes that your taste buds and your palate can pick up, like sweet, sour, bitter, salt, and then umami or whatever it is. I mean, that's what it is. And every other description, whether it's honey, nutmeg, cinnamon, graham crackers, all that stuff, it's like, I don't get it, man, sometimes, to be honest with you. So
I think a lot of that is an interpretation from the reviewer on what they can just something that's close to it that they ate. I mean, I know I had a
man, but I've read some of this stuff online, and it's like, well, in the first third, I picked up notes of, dark coffee with sweet and low and da-da-da-da-da. In the second third, I picked up graham crackers with marshmallow topping, and then in the final third, it kind of burned more towards like nutmeg and cinnamon. And I'm like, come on. That's all I'm saying as far as that goes. But it's a bit much, guys. But I enjoy it. It's fun. That's the romance of the industry, and that's what we're in it for. So.
Yeah, that guy must have ate a lot of paint chips when he was young.
I don't know, man. But the gunmetal is a true story, man. It wasn't recent. It was probably about 10 years ago, but I read gunmetal one time.
Oh, man. All right. Let's see. Somebody had a question and I missed it.
No, I think we got them all.
No, Cigar Lifter had a question. I remember seeing it. Let me go back up. Oh, he did. He says, okay. He said, John, why do you not like big ring gauge cigars?
To be honest, I'm going to give you the clinical answer. First of all, I look like an absolute idiot trying to smoke a 6x60. It doesn't fit me. I'm not a large person. I'm 5'11", probably like 185, 90 or whatever, but it never appealed to me. The other reason why is I think in a lot of cases, most cases, that a 60 ring gauge really dumbs down the blend. When you really want to smoke a cigar and taste the intensity of the flavor profile of the cigar, smaller ring gauges tend to do that because of the ratio of wrapper to binder filler. Somebody that's very astute in the cigar industry many years ago told me that if you really want to taste a manufacturer's potential, ask for Coronas. Because if you can make a great Corona, then you can make a fantastic Robusto or Toro. So I've always kind of, from that point, I've leaned towards evaluating blends based on 42s, 44s, 46s, 50s tops. 60 just, like, for instance, LX2, when we were working on that blend, it's a very intense, full-bodied, strong blend. It's all about Ligero, And to me, it wasn't the most complex, rounded blend. It wasn't what I would look for in smoking a cigar, but at that time, people were into the VSGs and that kind of a thing. And so we released it with some success. And then when we decided to come out with 6x60, because everybody kept asking for 6x60, I would smoke that next to like a 50, and it really dumbed down the intensity of the flavor of that blend. And same thing with like Brasilia, and it's just, it doesn't do it for me. To me, it's not a good way to evaluate a blend. I've never been a big fan. That's not to say we won't ever make a 60 ring gauge cigar. Who knows? We may do that, but for me personally, for my palate, 50 is about the high end for me.
All right. Oh, good old Walt's back again with another question for you, John.
Another great question from Walt.
Another great question.
Come on, Walt.
What do you have in mind for the first Crown Head cigar? Do you prefer like a more consistency in taste from start to end, or do you want something that's going to change? Would you like to rather have something that really changes?
To me, it's actually a very good question. I enjoy cigars that actually that they evolve in taste as you smoke them. I think when you smoke a cigar and it's the same from the start to the finish, there's nothing interesting to keep me going. It's got to have some evolution and some build-up, I suppose, if you will. As to what we're looking for in the first brand, as we smoke, what I'm smoking here is a sample from a manufacturer that I'm just kind of playing around with. But I want something that is not like a powerhouse. I don't want a very strong cigar. It seems to be, even today, still that the idea is to create like these, pardon my French, but ass-kicker cigars. And to me, cigar smoking has always been about pleasure and about escape and just enjoyment. And to me, if I have to be challenged to smoke a cigar, I'm not interested. It shouldn't be a challenge. It should be a relaxing, enjoying moment. And I'm looking for a cigar that's got balance above and beyond anything. To me, balance is everything. If I can smoke a cigar and say it tasted like black pepper, or it tasted like nutmeg or cinnamon or whatever, to me that's a one-note cigar. I'm not interested in developing a one-note cigar. I want something that's got texture and layers. It's even, and you're challenged to say, well, I'm not really sure what it tastes like, but it was really smooth and rich and complex, and I loved it. That to me is the benchmark of a great cigar. And I've seen a few cigars and smoked a few cigars that are like that. And to me, none of them were very powerful cigars. I'll give you an example going back to my CIO days. We sold a lot of Brasilia while I was there. Brasilia was always one of the top 2 or 3 selling brands at CIO. And it was probably one of the cigars that I smoked the most infrequently of any cigars that we developed, because it tasted to me like black pepper. And that's all I could taste was black pepper. I knew as soon as I lit it, it was going to be peppery. And as soon as I finished it, it was going to taste peppery. There wasn't really much evolution in the cigar, so it wasn't interesting to me. And then I smoked today like a cigar like Epernay. When I smoke that cigar, it's so balanced and rich and soft and lush that I enjoy that cigar. I seek that cigar out, and I love smoking that cigar. Pete's Cabaiguan is another example to me that is very balanced and rich, and that's what I'm looking for basically, to develop is a cigar that has that. That's not just strong or peppery or something that's got complexity to it.
Now, are you going to start out more along the boutique line, like Dion, like Pete, with a smaller quantity, and test the waters, or are you going to do a full-blown rollout? Or don't you know?
Well, I do know, Mike. Would you like to know?
Yes, we would like to know. Break it right here and still get forward.
No, in fact, on the other side of this laptop is a map of the United States that has a bunch of flags stuck in it. And we've been spending a good bit of time like targeting retailers, and our concept for going forward is more about geography than anything else. We want to be able to make the brands available for people across the United States without having to go through an online retailer or a catalog or internet. Our retail aspect of the brand is geared towards brick and mortar. We want to support brick and mortar, and that's it. We don't want to be found in XYZ catalog or on this online thing. Buy 3, get 5 cigar cases free and all that stuff. It's not for us. So, however many accounts that ends up being, I don't know at this point. I'm guessing it's going to be small, but it's not about being boutique. It's not about being cute and limited edition this and small batch that and all that. It's really about how many retailers across the country from an even geographical distribution can we supply based on the product inventory and continually supply that. We don't want to come out and make a release, it sells out, and then go, oh, well, you can't get it for 6 more months. That's not interesting to me. So, yeah, we do know, and we are doing it, again, like as I said, geographically, trying to make an even database of accounts across the country where you don't have to order it online, where you don't have to go through a catalog or a discounter, because I want to support brick and mortar.
Great. Well, Matt's got a question, actually, almost similar to what I was just going to ask you, but he asks, what do you think of cigar shops that sell online but at MSRP prices?
I'm fine with that. What I'm not fine with are, internet sites that sell like $2 above cost or whatever. They kind of bastardize your product and make it hard for the brick and mortar guys to stay in business. And brick and mortar is where this business started. I mean, you look at a company like W. Curtis Draper. I mean, they've been, I'm going to guess, 130 years probably in that location, or in DC. I mean, man, that's Americana. You got to support that. And if you've got, XYZ.com selling that stuff for, what they can't compete with, how are those guys going to stay in business? And I think it's important for our generation and generations to come to support that old Americana, to stay with the tradition and stay with, what really built the cigar industry. And I'm not interested in, I can name names, but I'm not going to. There's some internet sites out there that really can ruin a brand. Yeah, they can sell volume and make you a lot of money, but next year you're going to wake up and guess what? The brick and mortars aren't going to want to support you.
Exactly.
And that's not what I want to do. It's not what we want to do at Crowned Heads. That's not the philosophy.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, going back to CAO, we, towards the end, when we were acquired, we were forced to do exactly that with some of our brands. And it hurt a lot. We didn't want to sell out, so to speak, but when you're acquired and your purse strings are tied by some innocuous company across the pond, you have no choice but to do what they tell you to do. And unfortunately, I saw what happened. We took a beautiful little family business owned by the Osgener family that was really built on love and passion and relationships, and then these guys come in and they just totally, we want to see our profit. That's all it was how much money can you make me? That's the unfortunate reality. I don't ever want to be in a position. I can speak for everybody that works at Crowned Heads right now, and anybody that will ever get hired at Crowned Heads. We will never do that.
That's
I
good.
like that. Yeah, that's good. Now Matt does with about releasing. Now I have the same problem in my area. The closest shops to me, bigger shops. Well, the closest one is probably about a half hour away, and then you're out 45 minutes to an hour or longer from me. Mm-hmm. And in an area like this, that's why Matt was asking about the MSRP shops. If they sell it online, but at the cost that you want them to sell it for, because some people won't be able to find it locally yet. Are you going to still make it? Say like a big one on Twitter is Buckhead. Buckhead Cigar. He sells things through Twitter.
Yeah, Atlanta, right? Yeah.
And Bonita Smoke Shop.
Yeah, no. If it's to me, I think you have to use your best judgment. And if it's convenient to somebody that lives somewhere where they don't have access to the product, I don't have a problem with Buckhead Cigars selling something at full MSRP to make it convenient for the end user. What I have a problem with is a website selling something for $5 above wholesale cost just to move numbers and, make money. That's what I have a problem with. So, we're small enough, and we're going to continue to be small enough and grow slowly at a pace where we can control the growth, where we can look on an individual case-by-case basis and say, okay, we'll monitor the price there. If these guys sell it online, we'll monitor the price there. But I don't ever want to be so big that we're at the mercy of certain catalogs and internet sites. I've seen what could happen to a brand firsthand. I'm not just speculating. I'm telling you the truth of what happens. And I don't ever want to be put in that position. I don't want to be subject to, corporate P&Ls and 5-year plans and how are you going to get my shareholders this much money, and I've seen all that crap. I'm not interested.
Well, let's take another question from Sir Walt. He says, do you feel any pressure to fall in line with the current industry trends And even though you don't prefer the ass kickers or the 60 ring gauge, will you make them to please the masses? Time's up.
No, time's up. I had to think. No, obviously you have to cater to what people want. This first brand that we have in development right now is going to be, a lot of it's based on kind of our vision and, what I saw when I thought would be interesting in my head and what we can convey out there, and, blend-wise, what I think people will enjoy. I guess we'll have to go from there. If I come out and we come out with a cigar and people are saying, no, I want this, I want that. But I don't see that being a problem or being an issue, because I'm going to involve people out there in selecting this blend. It's not going to be Jon Huber's cigar. I never wanted it to be that. The only reason I'm doing this interview is because I guess by default I'm kind of the face of the company, but I'm no more important in this company than Nancy Eathman, Michael Treving, Mike Conder. It's a very collaborative unit, and we all chime in on a lot of different things. So I'm doing this, but don't get mistaken that it's my company, because it's not. I'm happy to be a part of it, and I'm excited to be a part of it. But when we started to come up with the whole concept of Crowned Heads, it was I said, let's base it more on, like a band. Because in a band you have a lead singer who's visible, but you also, that lead singer is only as good as the bass line, the drum line, the lead guitar, keys, what have you. And ultimately it's the sound that collaborative team makes, that whether it's a hit record or not. And that's kind of what our concept at Crowned Heads has been. So, it's not just my taste and my choices. It's going to be a group effort within this office, and also within test groups across the country, and people like you guys that are going to tell me, okay, I like this, I don't like that. And, that's something that I'm open to exploring further. Sometimes, listen, everybody has I'm very opinionated about certain things, but I also have grown to be a little bit smart enough and patient enough over the years that I realize that I'm not the end-all, be-all, that we have to have different people chime in. And it's always, you come up with an idea, and it's always, when you run it up the flagpole and you get different people chiming in, what started out as an idea becomes something that's so much better as it's evolved when you have other people voice their opinions.
Right now, you said, like, with the bigger, like with what Walt asked, are you actually testing any blends with the bigger ring gauges or anything else, or are you focusing more on those 5 that you were saying about?
I'm focusing on the 5 right now, and that's leaving room to say, okay, in the first or second quarter of the 2012, we want to come out with a line extension, and it's a 5x60 or 5x56 or 6x60 or a 7.5 by 40 or 38 Lancero, whatever. There's room to do that. But the first initial 5 sizes that I've kind of mapped out that we're signing up for are very traditional sizes. And the largest ring gauge would be 54 at this point. But that's not to say I wouldn't entertain a 60 if somebody wanted to do a 60. I just won't be smoking a lot of it in the office.
So you think, John, you'll have something released this year? It'll be this year.
And if you'd asked me that before the honeymoon, I would have said yes. Now, coming back after the honeymoon and finding out what's going on in the last 2 weeks, I don't know. All I will say is that when everything is right, that's when the first brand will be released. I don't want to compromise ourselves on any of that. I'm a big believer in integrity, and I don't. That's the one thing, like, we argue about behind the scenes here constantly is, honesty and integrity. It's like, no, I will not compromise on that whatsoever. And if this is not up to our standards, up to our vision, I don't care if we have to release it in January of 2012 as opposed to November of 2011. That's the way it's going to be. And that's our philosophy. I'll give you a little backstory. If you look at our website and you look at About Us, there's like a philosophy kind of page or whatever. We literally spent like 2 weeks composing that. It sounds silly, but we believed that whatever we wrote and put in writing on that little philosophy page, everything we would do, whether it be a cigar, box label, a band, a T-shirt, a hat, a website, would have to line up with that philosophy. That's why it was so important to put that stake in the ground and say, this is what Crowned Heads is about. And so now every decision we make, we go back to that and we look, okay, is it in line with the philosophy of the brand? And I think that's, even though at the time I was very impatient, I was like, man, it's taking us like 2 weeks to come up with a damn About Us page. Seriously. In retrospect, I'm very happy we did that, because everything we do has to line up into that degree of expectation to us, so that when we deliver it to the marketplace, it's quality.
Now, would you, with that, what you were saying, like with your release and everything else, would you actually hold a release for like IPCPR, or will you just release it whenever you're ready?
No. Release it when we're ready. I don't. No offense to everybody else that supports. I support IPCPR. I do, and we'll be members and what have you. But for me, even if we had a cigar ready that would be released in July, I'm not going to go to Vegas and release it. The reason being, we're a little company, we're little guys, and I don't really envision us going to Las Vegas and putting up a little 10 by 10 pop up and being next to a guy that sells walking sticks and hookahs and being lost in the mix. That's not exciting to me. I'll release the product. We will release the product to the retailers that we believe will support the product when the time is right. I don't think you need a trade show in a 3.5 day window to release something new. I just don't. I think that concept is very passé, and I don't necessarily. I've been to a dozen IPCPR TDA shows. I don't believe you need to do that. I mean, maybe if you're brand new, I suppose, but I think we have a little bit of a track record that we can probably get some retailers behind us. So that's the way I envision it going forward.
Great. Well, anybody else have any more questions for John? We're just about at our hour mark. We don't like to.
That has a question, actually. You've mentioned Pete Johnson, Dion, and E.P. Carrillo. What is the best advice you've received from these industry leaders?
Take it away.
The best, you know what? Those guys don't give me advice. We hang out and we smoke cigars and drink and go out and eat and whatever. Nobody's going to give you advice. I think you just have to look at each person and be inspired by them. I look at Pete, and I remember, like it was yesterday. I think it was 2003 RTDA, and I think that was actually in Nashville, if I'm not mistaken. Pete came up, and he's got literally 2 wooden, like unmarked boxes of cigars, unbanded or whatever. So what are you doing? Because before that, he'd been my friend from Grand Havana, Los Angeles. He said, "This is my new brand. This is what I'm going to do, and it's called Tatuaje." And I smoked it, and I was like, "Holy God, this is the best cigar!" It's fantastic. It was amazing, and I knew he was on his way. So I looked at Pete, and I'm like, "Man, he did everything just right." That to me is an inspiration, and the same can be said for Dion. He did the same thing, did it his own unique way. Some people didn't agree with certain things that he did, but so be it. And Ernesto. I mean, what can you say about Ernesto? He's iconic. You just kind of look to that guy and just go, So I hope someday I can carry his travel humidor or something. Nobody really behind the scenes gives you advice, and if they do give you advice, I would kind of be, I would be cautious to follow it or whatever. We all do our own thing and follow our own direction, and but I do take inspiration and motivation from a lot of these guys that have done it and had the guts really to do it, because it's not an easy thing to step out, onto the edge of the cliff and say, okay, I'm going to jump, and whatever happens, happens. People don't realize it's not that easy to commit to launching a brand. You're putting your heart and your soul out there, and you're hoping people enjoy it and agree with you. And when they don't agree with you, it's not an easy pill to swallow. So I admire all of those people. You don't have to be Pete or Dion out of this, for like Clint Aaron from 262, I've recently become, somewhat friendly with him, and I said, man, keep doing what you're doing. Believe in your dream, keep going for it, and you're gonna, you'll hit it. And you just have to admire these people for having the guts and to do. To me, that's always been a big key of success in this culture. In that, to me, what differentiates somebody that was a success story from somebody that is not a success story isn't necessarily your education or how much money you have or what family you're born into. It's just putting the blinders on and having the wherewithal to just say, I'm going to go for it, and whatever happens, happens, and I believe in my heart, I'm going to follow my dream. To me, that's inspiring, and I love that, whether you're in the cigar industry or, whatever industry you're in, that I find motivation, inspiration in that.
It's good. I guess the last question here kind of goes with that one. Till we let you go here, Matt Maroney asked, "What's been the biggest challenge with starting the new company?"
Literally, the biggest challenge, I would suppose, to this point, if you ask me today, has been finding the right fit for a manufacturer. We've done a bit of traveling and a bit of communications, and you really analyze it, and we've rated manufacturers based on 5 different criteria, and to this point, everybody's got their pros and their cons, and that's been the most challenging thing, is to find somebody that's going to convey your vision on a consistent basis, and that you trust and you believe in, that will be there for you today in 2012, 2013. So that's been the biggest challenge. Past that, it's been a lovely process. I've enjoyed every bit of it, and I enjoy working with the people I work with. So, I never really. It's funny because I can honestly say that I've never dreaded coming to work in the last 15 years I've been in the industry, and that's something that, going back to CAO days, that Jono told us that when you find something that you love, you will never have a job or work another day in your life, and I abide by that to this day. So I've been very blessed in that aspect, where I've had jobs in the past before the cigar industry that I was like, oh my God, I'd look at the watch and I'd be like, oh my God, it's only 3:15. I still have an hour and 15 minutes or whatever it was, And so I know how to appreciate and value what I do, because I can, until you've been on the other side of the fence, you don't. I mean, I'll give you a little, for instance. This is a true story, but when I was in LA and just kind of struggling and whatever, I sold. I was a telemarketer, and I sold indoor sun tanning products and dog pet shampoo to pet retailers from the same place. So you tell me, I'll tell you what, man, I have a lot of respect for telemarketers, because that's not an easy gig. So when you find something that you love to do, and you've had the other side of the fence, it's a blessing, man. And that's probably, going back to your question about being humble, that's probably why I retain some humility, because I've had jobs where it was so bad that you dreaded it, and now my job, I guess, is to come up with a good blend. So I'm very happy and very blessed. Life is good.
That's great. Well, John was very nice enough. He said, we spoke to him earlier, and he said he would like to give away a hat, sticker, and a shirt or something. John,
whatever you guys want. We've got some hats, some crown head hats. We've got stickers. We've got some limited edition posters that were designed by Nancy Heathman. They're absolutely gorgeous, that you'd want to frame. And we literally, when I say limited edition, I can tell you honestly, and I'll show you the invoice if you want it, 100 of each print, and that's all we do. We keep it very small. So I would love to, we'd all sign it. Everybody at Crown Heads would sign it, whatever. Great. So anything you guys want.
How do you want to do it? Let's figure out a way to give something to the guys who stuck around in the chat room and were nice enough to join us on a show. And question, how you got any ideas?
Walt Wright is disqualified, by the way.
Oh, so. Walt, sorry, you're disqualified.
Walt, you're out. You're out. I'm kidding.
Any ideas how you guys want to do it?
How you want me to do it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Gosh, man, I don't know. Isn't that your job?
No, we're going to put you on the spot. We like putting our guests on the spot here at Stogie 411, so. John. We're an equal opportunity offender.
Like, gosh. I'm looking at the map across me, thinking I can think of something that would be.
And you can think of something if you would want to do one live and one on the site, then, because we'll have this up on the site that people will be able to watch it that couldn't join us live. So that's up to you if you just want to do something live or if you want to do something.
Man, listen. I'll tell you what. However you guys figure it out and however you want to do it, the prize will be a Crown Heads hat, a signed poster, a sticker, and 2 signed posters actually, and a sticker. And we've got T-shirts coming down the pike, but it's probably going to be about 2 to 3 weeks. We'll throw in a T-shirt in there too for whoever wants to win it. But why don't you guys just do something at random? Like say, give me your favorite cigar size, and then you guys pick the winner at random. I don't know.
All right, we'll do this. We'll put it up on the site. This is what we'll do, guys, in the chat room. Go to the site after the video's up. Leave a comment what your favorite part of the show was with John. And Mike and I and Matt will pick a winner, and then we'll send John the info, and he'll send along your package.
There you go. That's it. What I want to do is drive traffic to you guys' site. And so whoever does that gets on your site, stogie411.com.
There we go.
There you go. Then we'll do it that way. Whatever works for you all.
Except for Walt, he's already been disqualified.
What's that, Mike?
I said except for Walt, he's already been disqualified, right?
Except for Walt.
Right, Walt, you're disqualified.
Except for Walt. And if Jerry Cruz is watching, you're disqualified too. You're too short. Kidding.
All right. So make sure, guys, you go over to Stogie 411. I'd say probably roughly an hour after the show goes up, we have to get it finalized, and Matt will get it up on the site. But once it's up there, go on over, leave a comment, whatever your favorite moment was on this episode, and we'll be sure to pick a winner, and John will be happy to send that nice package out to you. John, I want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy day, especially coming back after your honeymoon and joining us. It's been an honor for both of us. I know that. We were looking forward to this show. Thank you, guys. You guys are very nice. And honestly, I appreciate the opportunity. And I just want to take the opportunity to say that I'm appreciative of everybody that's followed Crowned Heads and really been interested in what we're doing. And, hopefully it'll all pay off for you guys, and we'll have a good product for you in the future. But right now it's all about patience, I guess. And I don't know. But I'm honored that you guys would have me on, and even without a cigar. So thank you for your support. Thank you guys out there, and I appreciate it. Smoke something good. We will. Okay. Thanks, John.
Thanks again. And
what are you smoking? Wait. Hold on. What are you guys smoking?
We're smoking Epernay. You told me you were going to smoke some from Dion, but I didn't know it was Epernay. Oh, my favorite stick. This is I'm a huge Dion fan. The Limon. Limon's good. I think that size and it just makes this cigar, takes it to another level. Is it Lemontine, M-A-T-I-N, or what's the size? It's a box press like Churchill in Epernay. Very small production. I think if you look it up under M-A-T-I-N, that cigar blew me away, and I was lucky enough that Dion sent me a whole box. And I was just like, oh, my God. And I'm not one of these guys that actually saves cigars, unfortunately. I feel like, especially since today's the end of the world, by the way, guys. Oh, yes. Thanks for being our last guest. Thank you. It's an honor. Since the world will end in a few hours. But, yeah, he sent me a box, and I was, oh, God, man, I love that cigar. And I literally was done with that cigar between giving a few away, but to friends. Matt says, is it the Slam? No. It's either Le Matin. I think it's M-A-T-I-N. It's like a box press Churchill. It's one of the few that he did in a box press, if you look it up. And, God, that was phenomenal. And I went through the damn box in 2 weeks, if that. And I regret it because, man, those cigars were so good. Fantastic cigar. I love this stick. Mike, too, what are you smoking?
The same. Same exact thing. The Limon.
Is it coincidence, or are you guys really not in Pennsylvania and New York? Come on.
He actually sent it to me, so...
I sent it to you?
No, Mike did.
I sent it to him. We decided that you didn't have anything else. Whenever we have anybody on the show, we like to smoke their product and support them. But we both know that you like the
I'll probably be the only guy you guys have on the show that doesn't actually have a product, right?
We'll have you back when you do have the product, though, and we'll be smoking your cigar when you do it.
I'll probably be old and in a wheelchair by then, but...
That's all right. We're sitting down already, so it doesn't matter.
That's all good. Thank you, guys. It's been a lot of fun, and it's been a nice Saturday afternoon to spend with you all. Now I'm going to go see my bride and my son, our son, and have a nice. So we're going to see Pirates of the Caribbean for tonight. So
awesome, cool, awesome.
Yeah, we're looking forward to it. It's good to be back in the States, although I miss Italy a lot. Yeah.
All right. Well,
cheers.
That's John.
Cheers, John. Thank you.
For all the audio viewers, it's crownedheads.com.
Let me know who. What's it, Matt Maroon? And wearing his hats. Oh, see, somebody knows Le Matin. I saw it. Cigar Lifter. Le Matin is a great cigar.
See that?
6 3/4 by 46 box press, Matt says.
There you go.
So
we got some smart people in that chat room. Let me tell you.
This is what I said earlier. It's like, people like in the online and social and blogger community, they're so much more knowledgeable than even some of us over here. I learn a lot from you guys. So keep doing what you do because I really appreciate it.
We plan on it. We plan on going nowhere.
It's fun, man. I'll keep watching you guys.
Appreciate it.
All right, thanks, man.
All right, John. We'll let you go. You have a good evening, good day. Enjoy yourself.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Cheers. Adios.
See ya.
All right, everybody.
Oh, hey,
Well, go ahead, Mike.
I was just going to say, bear with us here a little bit until we get our screens worked out. It's just with the software and Skype not getting rid of people very quickly. But I did want to say, Matt Morona brought it up, to the people who are just listening to the audio. It's www.crownedheads.com. You can see it right there on Mike's hat, Crowned Heads. And, to get more information about the cigar. And on Twitter, I believe it's just Crowned Heads, right?
The Crowned Heads.
Oh, the Crowned Heads. I'm sorry. So that way our audio listeners will be able to find the website. We'll put it on Stogie 411 also. Or, Mike will. But
yeah. It'll be on there. We'll have a link to John's site. And just remember, give us about an hour, and Matt should have that up, and it'll be on our site. Leave a comment what your favorite part was, and I'll tell you, that's a really nice package that John's going to give away, and you'd be crazy not to want to get it. So kudos to whoever we pick and gets it. Congrats. And again, thanks for joining us. And without you guys coming to the chat, the show wouldn't work. So thanks for the continued support. On a quick note, before we do hang up, next month, we are going 2 shows a month. Excuse me. So our next show, we don't have the date narrowed down. We will keep you posted. But join us. It will be our first blogger show. We're going to have Tom from Tom Cigars and Ed from St. Pete Cigar. They will be our first guest on our blogger show. So make sure you tune in and join us there.
yeah, that's all I got. So thanks again, everybody, and see you in 2 weeks.
See ya.